Alrighty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody had a lovely day. And with that being said, let's dive into the TA. All right, guys. So the market did a little Uno reverse card on us, and it decided to break up. So in yesterday's video, we did talk about bull scenario. You take out yesterday's highs, we're probably just going to start pushing up the all-time highs. If you took out the previous day's lows over here, you were probably going to be coming back down to lows. You ended up not touching those lows, and you took out over here QQ 566.53. Over here on SPY, we took out 632.61. And as of right now, we are continuing to push up. Now I'm just going to come over here to NQ. I'm going to point out that this kind of looks beautiful. This looks like a pretty clean range break going on over here. And you come over to ES, and we have the same exact look over here. I personally think this is on its way back up to all-time highs. I think the correction was cut a little bit short there. But, you know, at the end of the day, VIX is it's doing what we said it was do if SPY was going to be pushing back up the highs. You know, over here on VIX, guys, if you get back underneath the 21 here, you take out 1628, we're probably coming back down to the lows. That means the market's probably going to be heading back up to the highs. You know, SPY took out previous day's high here. Why would it let's look at it from this perspective. Bear trap, bull trap, bear trap. I'd be pretty confused if that was going to be a bull trap, a fourth day in a row right there. You know, at some point it is just going to pick a direction. I do think it's designed to pick up. That's you know, from what we're seeing, that's probably where things are going to be going. You know, somehow NVIDIA, Apple, all right, everything is pushing back up here. Even Amazon over here is showing the weakness. Even that bad boy over here stepping right back up from the weekly 21 EMA. Come over here to Google. I personally think Google is going to be breaking up over here. You know, you could see the clear flag look we got going on over there. And then you come over to Meta. Still expecting this to take out this high, 784.75, push up to 800. You know, it just makes sense to move up right now. And the market is just, it's designed to push up. So you might as well go with the flow there. At this point, you know, it's not like it can't fall off a cliff here. You know, we keep, again, just doing that Uno reverse card there 4 days in a row. But let's look at it this way. At some point, it is going to snap. And at this point, VIX looks like it's going to continue breaking down. We can actually come over here to, oh, never mind. No, that's close. Regardless, yeah, VIX looks like it's probably going to be continuing down. SPY, QQQ. They still can ruin this, you know, weekly look we have to you. All right, they can flip it. They can do something like that. But yeah, no, if you close out like this, we are probably just going to be coming right back up to all-time highs. And again, you know, the Mag 7 stocks as a whole, they suggest we're probably going to be moving back up. You know, you also have, like, just look at this 4-hour chart over here. Hang on, just one sec. There you go, just like that. You also have AMD finding buyers today off of the 21 EMA. You know, you just got all the big names suggesting we're probably going to be, you know, heading back up there. And again, SPY, QQ, VIX, they're doing what we discussed in yesterday's video, you know, for the invalidation of the bear thesis. That is, it just is what it is. All right, so we probably are going to be continuing up is what I'm getting at. Let's go over the levels here on the indices, go over the Mag 7 stocks. Got some trade ideas at the end of the video just for you. All right, on the upside, guys, we have 567.76, 569.70, 572.11, 574.63. On the downside, we're still just going to be watching 558.95, 557.20, 551.56. That is QQQ. And actually, I do just want to point out, we did not violate on the, you know, intraday at least. I don't even think we took it out after hours either. Yeah, we did not violate this low, guys. We have an equal low, or a very, by pennies, a slightly higher low over here. Then we didn't take out 551.56. We had a low over here of 551.68. So literally by pennies there. by 12 pennies. This thing held up the low. And then you come over here to SPY, and we actually have the same on the daily time frame. We still made a higher low, even though that looked really aggressive. If we push back up the highs, we will just have made a higher low, followed by a higher high. Probably going to just continue pushing, probably for the following week. I'm guessing if we do end up closing the week out, let's just say 634, 636, probably going to be pushing up the highs next week. But, you know, we also could build something out here and, you know, do a little of this action and then push up in 2 weeks. Anything could happen from here. The market's, you know, indecision mode, I should say. You know, market participants as a whole, they don't know which way they want to bring you. Everybody wants to buy these dips. You know, every single little dip we've got bought up. Maybe this in the end is just going to turn into, you know, something that gets bought up. Regardless, you know, if we head back up to the highs, we're probably going to continue on for a little bit there. We did just have this massive correction there, retested previous all-time highs, went back up to the highs. And yeah, we're probably not going to, you know, sit there just consolidating there for another couple months here. We probably are going to do what, you know, most of the time we do here, which is trend up. So, you know, business as usual. New all-time highs on the rise in there. That's really that. All right, on the upside on SPY over here, we have 633.99, 635.54, 639.85, and then you're targeting 642, 645. On the downside, we're still just watching 625.58. You know, this thing also looks like it wants to continue up. I got some things that are going to be moving up, but you know, my favorite out of the Mag 7 sector now, I think Google. All right, now that we went over the indices, I think Google is probably going to be breaking up this week. It just makes sense over here with what the weekly chart is doing over here. This is, you know, 3 back-to-back weekly candles with equal highs here. At some point, it's going to break, and we could see this tight consolidation here over on the daily time frame after pulling back to the 21 EMA. Looks like it's about to break this, you know, flat top up here, 198.16. Get above there, we're talking 200, 202.88, and 208.70. I do think new all-time highs is incoming over here for Google. That is GOOG coming down to NVDA now, as we pointed out. Yeah. So 100% tariffs on chips. Boom. Okay. Apple and NVIDIA are immune. Okay. We go right back up and now we're at new highs. That's what's going on over here. Trump. I swear Trump hates the market going up and then he sees it going down. He's like, ah, snap. People hate me. So then he makes it, you know, he tries making it go back up. That's the theme. All right. Market loves just moving off of Trump. Above 180.26, we're talking 183.30, and then when you have 185, 187, 190. That is NVIDIA on the downside, 175.90. Microsoft. We had a ton of calls coming over here on Microsoft today. But yeah, on the upside, we have 540.32, 555.45. On the downside, you're just watching 518.29, and under there, 509.44. Amazon pushed right back up to the daily 21 EMA. So on the upside, we have 223.82, 227.27, 236.53, 242.52. On the downside, 220.44. Ideally, we do not come back under there. But yeah, on the weekly chart, guys, you did just come down to the weekly 21. You held it. All right. So far, it is not like over here, and it is not like over here as well. We had quite a bounce off, and you know, it still can be like that if we're going to fade back down and, you know, reverse this bullish reversal hammer candlestick we got going on over here. Okay, so we'll see what happens, but yeah, you know, I'm telling you, bulls, let's look at it from this perspective. You know, I already talked about, you know, we're probably not going to have 4 trap days in a row. At some point we are going to just start, you know, trending, but I will also say this. Bears, they now had 2 failures. Okay, we had a big time, you know, they tried it big time over here. Okay, bulls got their bounce and they tried it again, they failed. Bulls stepped in again. You know, it's clear that they're still here, and you know, if VIX is going to be doing that, if VIX is just going to be coming right back underneath the 21, this cloud is about to flip back to red. You know, it could happen as soon as tomorrow. But yeah, if we get price underneath 1628, that's probably going to be taking place. And typically when that happens, Yeah, VIX starts cooling off, you can't argue with it. It just is what it is. If it's going to trend, it's going to stay above the 21 EMA. If it's not, then yeah, it's not going to be trending. Best case scenario, if we're going to be doing that, is you get a bunch of chop. But what's more likely is, yeah, if we come under here, probably going to be coming down here underneath these lows, and we'll see what happens over there, because the next spot is all the way down here at 1276. So that is VIX. We're in Amazon, coming over to Tesla, guys, popping its head up. I would really just say above 338. That is when you have a weekly breakout here. You have a high here. You have a lower high, lower high, lower high. You have a low here, higher low, higher low, higher low. Price is compressing here. It's going to break one way or the other, and you're either going to finally make a weekly higher high or a weekly lower low. The lower low comes underneath 288.77. The higher high comes over 338. So if you break over 338, you're probably breaking up from this pennant. I personally think it's going to be breaking up. That is how I think the monthly is positioned over here, and the weekly is looking like, yeah, it wants to be snapping up above that trend line, and you really just got to break above 338 for this thing to start moving, in my opinion. So that is Tesla there. Coming up to Apple. All right, guys, Apple had itself quite a day today, and had itself quite an after-hour session as well. This thing is up near 220 right now. All right, so yeah, it finally did end up getting a news catalyst that snapped it upwards. We're about to see the weekly cloud flip upwards. That is going to go to green. Talked about what happens when that happens. You get a few weeks where every dip gets bought. Probably going to be the same. I imagine we're getting something like this where we have, this week and the next week, they're probably going to be green trending weeks. Big time moves, and then it cools off for a little while, maybe 1 to 2 weeks, and then it's going to be on its way after that. And it could go something like this. And it would be like big move up, start getting choppy, big move up again, big move up, start getting choppy. This right here, guys, this is a month and a half. That could also happen. But, you guys could see big moves up. They also happen. That's 26%, 33 points. This barely has moved anywhere. 33 points is all the way up here at 236. Okay. So yeah, it's something like along the lines of that. But I do think this thing is finally starting to move up here. Monthly chart is starting to turn around as well with the current move. And tomorrow's open. Yeah, monthly candle is going to be all the way up here. It's going to be looking pretty sick. So congrats. If anybody ended up catching calls over here on this guy, they went absolutely insane today, especially those weeklies. They were up 1,000, 2,000%. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, that is Apple. Probably going to be turned around. Meta, guys, I think this is just bullishly consolidating before moving up. I think it makes sense that we are going to be seeing this break above 784.75 this week. It's just, it would look pretty odd here if it's just going to close the week out like how it is. Either going to fully come back all the way down here, all right, have a red weekly candlestick, fill that weekly gap there, all right, or it's just probably going to take out 784.75 by Friday's close. So I think it's personally going to be breaking up here. I was looking for Meta to continue. Monthly looks like it's probably going to, continue here. We do have, another 22 days there, 23 sessions. But on the weekly candle, we only have 2 sessions left. So, yeah, I'm personally expecting it to break up over the next few sessions. But I do think above 784.75 brings 800. Then we got 820, and then we got 850. But that's Meta. All right, guys, now here are some things that I think are going to be moving. Oracle, now that we know the market's probably going to be pushing up. And again, why do we think that? First of all, VIX is starting to break down. Back underneath 21. It's probably going to be flipping that cloud red. SPY broke above yesterday's high. QQ broke above yesterday's highs. NVDA is looking like it's, well, I mean, it is pushing in the, overnight session there. But yeah, that's probably going to be pushing. Everything's probably going to be pushing. Google looks like it's going to be pushing. Apple is pushing. NVIDIA looks like it's going to be pushing. Meta looks like it's going to be pushing. Tesla even looks like it's going to be pushing. All the Mag 7 stocks suggest an upside. And then you come over here, you know, AVGO. Nah, it did end up getting hit over there by the tariff news. But, you know, even this guy, it did drag itself back up over here. And it's not looking terrible over here on the daily time frame, not by any means. And then, yeah, you know, you got stocks like Oracle. Just everything's really looking like it's set up over here, and we can really start moving. So yeah, that's the current bias here, considering, hey, we laid out some invalidations for the bearish thesis. That's what ended up happening. You know, if we were to start moving down, we would say we're probably going to be coming back down to the lows. We had some levels we were watching. You didn't violate them this morning. Instead, you went straight up, and you got things looking like this. Like that. You know, why are you going to be bearish on something like that? It starts going up, it is what it is, and then boom, it takes out, you know, yesterday's high, and again, it is what it is. You know, now you just know. Worst case scenario, you missed out on this. You weren't getting bearish again, because again, we're talking about it. You didn't know which way it was going to break. You might as well just wait until it either breaks under here or breaks above here. It was one or the other it was going to be doing. It didn't do the downside, it did the upside, and we really haven't moved all that much yet. But I'm telling you, yeah, you know, NQ and ES, they both have these picture perfect, you know, range breaks here, and it just looks really clean. It looks like we do want to push back up the highs here. So yeah, that's probably going to be what's happening. If VIX is going to be, it's breaking down here. If it breaks something at 1628, we know that's probably going to be coming back down. That means indices are probably going to be going back up. You know, Mag 7 stocks are set up. All other stocks, a lot of other stocks are set up. Yeah, we're probably going to be having some good times for a little while here in the market. We'll see what happens. We do have the tariff deadline coming up for China, I think. But yeah, we'll see if they decide to keep extending, you know, a bunch of these things. They did come out with the 100% chip tariff right after market close, so that was the thing. But some of those guys ended up getting bought up there. MU's not taking a hit. I saw AVGO was taking a hit. DSM, I don't think it was taking a hit. I think it was catching a bit off that. It's finally coming back up. It's currently at 237, so it's up 6 points in the after hour session there. And this weekly candle is going to be complete turned around. It's going to have a hammer candlestick. This might just be on its way back up. You know, things are looking good, guys, okay? But yeah, I got some trade ideas for you, some things that are moving and grooving. First of which is going to be Oracle over here, okay? Above 258.49, we have 260.87. The idea really comes into play here if we break above 260.87. All right, 4 times now you've gotten that 9 to 10 point move on the breakout there. 2 out of 4 you swept it, and then you pulled back for a day, and then you went on the second day. Over here you swept it, you pulled back for 2 days, and then you went on that third day. So just keep that in mind. That is a possibility. I think it's likely going to be breaking out this week, though, considering how this weekly candle is already up near this upper wick. And if the market's going to be pushing up, then Oracle's probably going to be pushing up. So yeah, you know, 9 to 10 point move. It could be coming into the end of the week here. So above 260.87, that would be 270. All right, all in one day. All 4 of these times. You know, this was 1.5 days, but every other one, all in one day there. You know, another, yeah, you know, you got 1, you got 2, you got 3, you got 4. We're about to have 5. So that's Oracle. But guys, we ended up seeing into 88103C for, I think it was 550K. They ended up coming in when price was around 103. I ended up popping in some of these. So we're going to see what happens here. If the market's going to be pushing up, I imagine this is probably going to be breaking out of this bull flag. I do think the weekly candle is suggesting it might be pushing up. We might print a you know, expand above that 109.06 last week's high there. If that happens, I imagine you do just get a straight up push to 113.44. So above 109.06, we're still talking 113.44 and then 115. But yeah, daily time frame, it's coming together there. Weekly looks good, 4 hour looks good. Everything's coming together. See what happens. Costs ended up starting to really move today. You know, really started moving Walmart. But yeah, cost over here, guys, it could continue a little higher. We're about to see this daily cloud flip back to green. Last time that ended up happening, 2 days after, you ended up getting that fake out. And yeah, you end up coming all the way back down to lows, sweeping the lows, and then you had a big move back up. And then the time before that, you ended up again having that fake out move. You pulled all the way back down, not completely down, but yeah, you gave back a decent amount of that little rally there. You actually pulled right back to the golden pocket, just like over here, guys. You also pulled back to the golden pocket. That is a tool right here, guys. The golden pocket that yeah, you can take that to the bank. That is something that, you know, over years, okay, over time, any ticker, pretty much any ticker, you know, every ticker that I've really put it to use on, yeah, you know, that is something that brings constant reactions there. It's something that you can use and rely on. It's just, it gives you reaction spots, you know, whereas the opposing side going to be stepping in. But yeah, you know, I think cost is probably going to continue a little higher. It's going to be following that arrow. You're going to get that pullback there. I think that pullback is going to be viable, whether it does that or whether it sweeps these lows over here and then pushes up, because that is what it did over here. And then, yeah, you know, very quick move back up. But you know, same story over here, guys. We do think we are going to be getting a, you know, 100 to 170 point move. We're talking, all right, 1,040 to 1,080 over the next month and a half here before earnings. So that is still on the table there, but I'm just talking about how I think that's going to be going, because it did start taking off today. What really started freaking taking off is Walmart. Okay, Mr. Wally over here did end up getting quite a big move to the upside once it broke 99.49 2 days ago. Well, you know, it got rejected 2 days ago. Also got rejected today. I guess, you know, in a way, it just broke out today. Okay, so big move over 99.5 today. This thing's probably going up to all-time highs within a few sessions here. So that is what we're talking over on Walmart. Expect this thing to continue seeing the dip spot over the coming weeks. This is probably going to break 105.30 here. Probably going to be going, you know, 108 and then a 110. And we'll see, guys, because it's probably going to be getting up to 105, 110 before earnings now that it's doing this. So, yeah, you know, over here, don't expect it to have another massive week like this. Expect them to slow down, but these dips, expect them to be bought. Just like we see after these big moves here, you typically will continue. And, you know, that's the same over here with Apple. Now that it's turning around, it's going to have a big week. This week of candles going to open tomorrow up here at 220. You can see after these big moves, they like to continue for a few weeks. So at least a few weeks. Another big move, you know, can happen on Apple. You know, when these happen, they happen, you know, at least for, you know, 2 weeks in a row there. Expect the second week of continuation here in Apple until proven otherwise. Now that it's finally moving, it's finally broken above 216.23 here in the after hour session. Yeah, you know, it is probably going to actually be holding this move, and it's probably going to be really moving here. Again, hold the move. A week of cloud by next week is going to flip back to bullish. And that's when we will probably have, you know, at least we're talking like 1 to 2 months where Apple's going to see the dip spot, or we get just this massive continuation move all the way up to like 240, you know, probably 240. And then we pull back for like a month and a half, base out. And then boom, we have another few months where we are going to be seeing a big move. You know, one of those two scenarios is going to probably be taking place here in Apple now. So just expect that. Other than that, guys, you know, we have APLD over here. I think it makes sense for this week's candle to take out 1542. Daily candle over here, just put in a doji. I think it's probably going to be continuing. You can see it over here on the 4 hour. It's not looking bad with the consolidation. APP, guys, this thing did end up, yeah, it ended up falling off a cliff, and then it did make a 18% recovery there, right there. Cannot freaking believe that. 19% recovery. We'll see what happens over there. 11 out of 11 times in a row over 3 years. We have seen at least like this 13% move. And I think it's like 12 out of 14 times of the last earnings have also seen that 13% move. So I'll be damned if this is going to be the 12th time it doesn't see that move. Oh well, it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, there is a solid shot that it will still not be falling off a cliff. You know, I listened to that earnings call. It really didn't sound all that bad to me. You know, it didn't sound all that bad. They definitely did not miss. But I was looking at this before close. I had 2 contracts of the 400C, 815. I decided to take one off just because I started using my head and I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, honestly, you know, I looked, their stock price was like $10 down here, and they were bringing in 700 mil. You know, for multiple quarters, they just kept bringing in the 700 mil. The point is, why was the stock price down here at 15, 20 bucks? And now it's all the way at 390, and you know, you didn't even double it. Okay. But the stock price has somehow 10, 20x. So that's a big concern. So yeah, I decided to take one off. I was like, you know, maybe this won't be the time. Unfortunately, I did keep one of those on. So, you know, if we open where we are, that's gonna go to shit. Regardless, well, it's for next Friday, so we'll see what happens. You know, this thing, there was one of those 11 times where you open up only up 4%, and then you still end up having a 15% move at the highs. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see if APP wants to catch a bid, but I still think the monthly and weekly charts look really good. That's why I'm, you know, talking about it right now. I think they just look really good. So chances are I do think this dip gets bought up here, and we do end up coming up to 430 at the end of the day. So APP, there's that. RKT, guys, expect these dips to continue being bought. It had itself a day today, but it did just pull back like APLD there and print a, you know, doji looking candlestick there. I think we might get another day. If we get another 5 to 10% day there, I think that should be a profit-taking day. We're going to revert back to the mean because we're going to be pretty extended off the daily 5 EMA there. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, do expect that, you know, dips over the next, we're going to say 3 to 4 weeks. Probably going to be bought. We're probably going to be getting up to 2138. So that is RKT. Shop, guys. Shop had itself quite a freaking move over here. But yeah, you know, I just looked back this morning right before open. Yeah, this thing, the past, what is this? I think it was 6 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, the past 5 big earnings gap ups there, they did end up having that continuation intraday. All of them had, except for one of them, 4 out of 5 had at least a 5% move. This one had a 3.5% move. But yeah, you did end up having yourself a decent day over here on Shop. 7% move, so that ended up going. And I do think this thing's probably just going to continue grinding up, if I had to take a guess. Oklo, guys. Oklo is just consolidating today. A lot of things are just consolidating today as the market was moving up. Oklo might be getting ready to, I think it's probably going to have a wider body to this week's candlestick, considering, you know, last time you ended up breaking above one of these red weeks over here of consolidation. We really did just have 2 consolidation weeks, considering, you know, this big move right over here. But, you know, you can see the last time that was a 20% gain off of that, you know, and it was 12 points. This one, only 5 points here, 6%. So, yeah, I think we might be pushing still 90 plus by end of week. We'll see what happens. 87 is still the little target over there. QBTS, guys, it does have earnings before open tomorrow. We're going to see what happens. It's still playing the shenanigans over here, but I do think, hey, maybe it's a catalyst there. We'll see if it ignites the fire. That's what I'm getting at. It's still probably going to be making this move eventually. Probably going to be this month, considering how the monthly chart is set up like that. Big move up. It's just, you know, in consolidation. It looks like it's starting to, you know, try and pop up there the past 2 months there. 2 monthly candles. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. We will see. It might be time. we will find out. Uber. All right. Uber over here, guys. Beat on earnings. Did not make a move though. But I do think this thing is probably going to react how it did last time, where you're just going to kind of trade flat for a few days and then boom, it's going to start taking off. Regardless, put Uber on your radar. It's looking pretty here on the monthly and on the weekly time frames here. You pull back to the weekly 21 EMA, and there was that. Netflix. All right, and this is the last one I have for you. Actually, before we go over Netflix, ANF, guys, it had itself quite the day over here. Broke out today above 175. Expect that to hit 104.99 in the short term. Probably going to happen tomorrow. Probably won't go much higher. Probably will pull back, and then that pullback is viable. I do think we're probably going to be seeing some crap like this, like it likes to do most of the time. Ride the wave, guys. Pullbacks are going to be buying opportunities now that things are starting to turn around. But yeah, we did take out last week's high. I think we're going to continue a little bit higher here on the week. So that is ANF. All right. So now, Netflix. I think this is the best trade idea that I have for you today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 tests of the 21 EMA, 6 big bounces off of the 21 EMA. All had a at least a 13% move over a 2-week period. All right, so that would be us coming. Yep, 1300, 13% right off those lows there. Okay, $1,300. September 9th. No, not September 9th. September 19th, 1300C. If you do end up seeing that move right there, and we do get 1300, bucks there, they will go 3 to 4x for you. There you go. Over the next 2 weeks, that is the 919 1300 call. There's your trade idea of the video. That is the best one in my personal opinion. I think this thing is starting to turn around. You could look back and 5 out of 6 of these times, we did see the RSI come down and bottom out around this level. It based out around it and it pushed right back up. One of those times it did not. But as we can see, it was doing that this time. And I do think this thing is probably going to get going here. So, yeah, I would say worth the risk there on the 919. 1300 calls over here. Of course, you could play something 2 weeks out here. That stat I just gave you, that is, they were all tested the 21 EMA. This is really over the last year here, year and a half, we'll call it. So yeah, six tests of that the weekly 21 EMA here, just like we got going on right now. And they all resulted in that, within 2 weeks there, you had that 13% move. So I think it's probably going to be the case this time around as well. And yeah, it's safe to have that expectation, my personal opinion, just because, again, yeah, massive uptrend going on here. And you were just reverting back to the, trending moving average there, which is the 21 exponential moving average. Okay. All right, guys, that's what I have for you in today's video. I hope you enjoyed today's video. All I ask is that you leave a like on the video. That's all I ask, so we can, reach more people and we can maybe potentially hit the YouTube algorithm. Haven't done it yet, but maybe we'll do it one day. And yeah, we could get a bigger channel going. Regardless, guys, go check out the Twitter. I am going to be posting every single day. If you find value in these YouTube videos, I promise you'll find more value in that Twitter as well on top of that. All right, guys. And yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate all of the people who support me and who are nice people. You guys are good people. And yeah, I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.